Alright, so welcome back to another Q&A, and this time around, as you can see, we're doing a Danny Phantom Q&A. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions. Um, yeah, so, yeah, I want to, like I said, if you would like to be part of the next Q&A, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the first tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But yeah, so let's get started with our first set of questions coming from Christopher Rosa, who asks, how would you write a Danny Phantom horror story where Danny is forced to battle paranormal monsters that kill people? I think what I would like to have is like kind of started out as like a typical story, like your typical Danny Phantom episode, but it gets progressively darker, almost like an X-Files episode, until it's like revealed it's like it's not even a ghost, it's like a demon, really. Like, this is his first time encountering like a demonic entity instead of like your typical run-of-the-mill ghost. So maybe something like that. Second question. How would you write a story where Dash Baxter becomes a supervillain similar to Spider-Man's Venom because Flash Thompson was Venom? I would probably say, like, maybe Dash wants to be, like, a hero like Danny and ends up taking these, he hears about, like, this, special project going around in Amity Park about, building, extra superheroes to help Danny Phantom protect Amity Park. And Dash all like, I want to be a hero. I want to be a hero like Danny Phantom. That sound like that's a really cool idea. I can do that. And what ends up happening is that it turns out to be like from one of Danny's villains, like whether it be Spectra or Vlad or something like that. And it basically like they basically experiment on Dash, turning him almost into like like instead of having like a symbiote or something, his body just melts into ectoplasmic goo and it reforges into this horrible monster. And he basically blames Danny for it. He basically blames Danny for it. He's like, I just wanted to be like you, but if it means being this, then I'm gonna rip everything apart that you loved. Yeah. So, third question. If you wrote a story where Danny started dating Paulina and she went through a character development and it became more likable, how would it go? I think what I would like to have, like, if that was the case, I would probably say, Danny would probably start dating Paulina about, early in the series. Like, maybe have it that, like, maybe this is an alternate timeline where Paulina basically, to basically, date Danny just to be like, I'm gonna be shallow and take away his girlfriend, but then realize, oh, he's actually sweet and kind, and maybe I'm just a total bitch this whole time. Like, it really kind of reevaluate herself and kind of learn, like, to be a better person, throughout the storyline. Just continue to be like, oh, Danny, you're so funny, and then it's like, oh, he's actually funny and actually nice. That's my idea right there. Think of those questions, Rosa. Moving on now to Mount Vernon Kid. How you doing, brother? And first question. Technically, the series ran for 3 seasons with a total of 53 episodes. If it was up to you, how long would you have run the series? That's always the thing, isn't it? Like, that's always the thing you want to really play with is, how long is too long? That's always the big question is, how long is it for a show to go on until it's too long, right? I would say the length of the show I would pick is probably like maybe give it 2 more seasons, like cut it at season 5, because that way you like with 2 more seasons you could at least like you could at the very least you could have been able to. There were so many plot holes and other like continuing storylines that just got cut off at Phantom Planet. So I would dare say that like the best option we would have right here is our best option right now would be to give it 2 more seasons just to let other storylines breathe and really play with some other ideas. That would be my idea. Then do Phantom Planet or something like that. I don't know. Second question. What if Ember was an ally instead of a villain? I would say it would probably be like, I would say since Danny had his Mary Jane, which was, Sam, maybe Ember could be his Black Cat. Like, me, that's how I could see it, is like, Ember, and like, if we were to make Ember an ally, I think it would be more like she's using her music because originally her storyline, like the original, apparently her origin story is that basically she was or she died in a fire due to a, bad breakup. So I would have it that like she's using her music to like help other people, and that's the real scheme of it all, is that she just wants to help people, but she also wants to like punish those who have hurt others. So I could see it like Danny, like in this continuity, Danny would be like, I see what you're trying to do here, but like, this is not the way. And eventually, like, they would have differing opinions on justice, but eventually, like, I think Ember would be like, so, goth chick giving you shit, huh? Maybe just hang out with me tonight. I got a tip that Skulker's up to something. Yeah. So I would basically say Danny never really got a black cat. He never got his Felicia Hardy. So maybe Ember could be his Felicia. And like Felicia, she could probably be like, I'm in love with Danny Phantom, not Danny Fenton. Danny Fenton. So it could be like, she really wants Danny to like embrace like his ghost side. She really wants him to like really have like an appreciation for more of his ghost side and be like, you're part of it. You walk this path, and like, maybe it's time for you to be more ghost than human. Maybe that could work. And your third question, how would you feel if it was announced a live-action Danny Phantom movie? I feel like Paramount every 3 years announces that they're going to do a Danny Phantom movie. Isn't that always the thing? Like, they always feel like they're going to announce a new Danny Phantom movie every 3 years. They just say, hey, we're doing this, and then 3 years go by, nothing. And then another 3 years pass by, is like, oh no, it's going to be like a... Because I remember reporting on this, of like, Danny Phantom was supposed to get a, live-action film on Paramount Plus. But that was like 5 years ago, and I have heard jack all about that. So, yeah, I have heard jack diddly dick about anything regarding that. So, I could I could totally see that being the case, is that nothing comes of it. But I personally don't want it. I don't want a live-action movie. I would just, like, prefer to animated. Always animated over live-action for me. So, yeah, that's my thought process. Anyway, so think of those questions, Chris. Moving on now to Bill McLaughlin, who asks, what do you think of the Box Ghost? The Box Ghost is definitely one of Danny's more fun villains. He's definitely like a villain that just sucks, but like it's always cool to see him, right? Like, it's always a fun time when you see Danny battle the Box Ghost. I remember that episode where he gets Pandora's box and unleashes all these Greek monsters, and Danny has to team up with Pandora to save them. That's the only time he was a credible threat, and even then he was kind of a big fucking idiot. Yeah, so I enjoy the Box Ghost. Is he dumb? Yes. But is it always fun to see him? Absolutely. Anyway, second question. How would Danny fare against the Flash Rogues? I think Danny would fare pretty well against the Flash Rogues. But here's the thing. I feel like he wouldn't take them seriously at first. I feel like he would just be like, so, listen, guys, I fight ghosts and who can blow up planets. You guys are just a bunch of weirdos who get beaten by a guy who can run fast. And then he's gonna get his ass kicked by, because, again, the Flash Rogues themselves are all pretty credible threats. They're all, in their own way, shape, or form, all viable threats. Captain Cold, Heatwave, Weather Wizard, Trickster, Captain Boomerang. Yeah, those guys together, the 5 of them against Danny. And the thing is like, Danny's gonna learn real fast why the Flash Rogues are why are the threats the way they are. These guys know how to fight as a combined team, and they also know how to kick ass. But I think Danny, after a few encounters, would probably be able to figure it out and fight them. The thing is, though, I think if Captain Cold ever came to Amity Park, he would. That's the other thing, is that Snart does his research on you. If he has to go to another city, he does his research on the villains, the heroes he's going to encounter. Excuse me. So, yeah. Anyway, third question. How would things turn out if Jazz was the one who got the ghost powers instead of Danny? I feel like Jazz wouldn't know what to do with them at first. I genuinely think she would actually go to her parents immediately. I really do feel like Jazz will immediately go to she will definitely go to Jack and Maddie and be like, hey, so I got trapped in this ghost portal and now I have ghost powers, what do I do? And I feel like they would probably be like, let's see if we can fix that. I don't know how well that would go, but I definitely think that Jazz, if she had gotten them, her parents would essentially be like, yeah, we don't know what to do. We really do not know what to do right now. I don't know what to do. I don't have the parenting skills to deal with this sort of thing right now. So I also think on the field, she's not she would handle villains in a more logical sense, applying that kind of psychology to villains. Like, Skulker, you really want to hunt me, or is it kind of a deeper thing? And I think she would she would be trying to reach out to the villains rather than try to, fight them head on. Also, her banter would suck. I just feel that her banter is not great. Anyway. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Imagine8, who asks, what was your favorite ghost power shown in the series? I think my favorite ghost power in the series was the ice powers. I thought that was a cool explanation for the ghost sense. I also liked how I always like characters with frost powers, or have a cold connection in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, cold power. I love the ectoplasm and all that, but Danny using his cold powers is always a cool thing. So I definitely really do enjoy. I definitely enjoy that. So anyway, I think his cold powers were definitely a cool thing. That's my favorite. Second question: how could you see the series? Dude, I just answered this question. Yeah, I gotta yeah, I literally just asked this. So yeah, I gotta follow the rules. So skipping this question. Third question: since Danny is half human and half ghost, could you see Danny leading a team consisting of teens that are half human, half monster? I mean, yeah, sure. It'd be a cool idea. Depends on what kind of monsters do you want. Do you want a half vampire? Are we talking original characters? Are we talking characters from other shows? Yeah, that's kind of the big deal. That's kind of the big question of the hour, isn't it? What kind of when we say half characters, what do you mean? But sure, okay. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Imagine8. Moving on now to Hunter Johnson, who asks, in the series finale, Phantom Planet, Tucker became mayor, and I don't know why, because it came out of nowhere, and it felt a lot of fans don't like it, and he really would have been allowed due to him being a teenager. Yeah, I always thought Tucker becoming the new mayor of Amity Park out of nowhere. I'm like, he's barely even able. I think he's too young to be mayor. I really do feel like when they said, "Hey, Tucker's going to be mayor of Amity Park now," it really felt like they just didn't know what to do with him. At the end of the thing, it felt like a throwaway line. It really did feel like they didn't know what to do with Tucker, and it kind of shows that and again, this is all alleged. This is all alleged stuff, but it really does feel like it kind of plays in that whole thing that Butch Hartman doesn't know what to do with characters of minority skin color. So I don't know what to tell you on that. It really does feel like it was a throwaway thing, because it just made Tucker feel like a throwaway character at the end of the day, and that's kind of upsetting, really. Anyway, second question: what would Vlad think of David Xanatos? David Xanatos, if he thought Vlad was scary, David is way more terrifying. Like, David is a goddamn nightmare. Vlad would be like, oh, I could threaten you. And then Xanatos could threaten Danny with something he wouldn't even think of. And unlike Vlad, who would, like, sign his name on something, Xanatos would be like, oh, I heard about that explosion in your house. Awful thing. You should really check your gas pipes. It's something, it's things like that just, would really make David Xanatos a much more credible threat to him, more than anything else. So I do feel like he would probably, it really does feel like that would be, just, if he thought Vlad was scary at trying to get at him, Xanatos would be worse. Third question: what if the tall man was part of Danny's rogues gallery? Well, that would be probably the most terrifying thing ever. The tall man is a being of unknown cosmic origin who seems to be unkillable, and there's a tall man in the entire multiverse. Yeah, I think also Danny would treat him would treat the tall man like the boogeyman. There would just be this whole thing of Danny being absolutely scared out of his mind, because I don't think his ghost sense would detect him, because the tall man isn't a ghost. So it would definitely be where Danny would have to just constantly be on his toes. He would be in constant fear of, is the tall man here? Is he going to attack me there? And also he wouldn't be able to detect those silver balls coming at him, because again, those aren't ghosts, they aren't ghostly weapons, so he wouldn't be able to, detect anything that the tall man could throw at him, honestly. So yeah, it'd be a nightmare. Thank you for those questions, Hunter. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, who would you like to see write a Danny Phantom ongoing comic? There are a few ideas for this, because I've actually thought about this myself, and there are Danny Phantom comics out there, but they aren't under any title, and I know I got a question about that, so I'll hold that off. But as for if let's say a new Danny Phantom comic was going to be an ongoing series, my pick would be Jeremy Adams. From DC Comics. He's written The Flash, he's currently writing Green Lantern and Aquaman. Jeremy Adams is the guy I would absolutely pick as the writer for a Danny Phantom comic. He's actually written animated shows before, so he's written animated movies as well, so he would definitely be my pick for a comic. He knows when to be lighthearted, he knows when to do family moments, he knows how to do romantic moments. He's really good at just also exploring characters and also lesser known characters. So absolutely 100% my pick would be Jeremy Adams. Anyway, second question: most underrated Danny Phantom villain. I feel like the most underrated Danny Phantom villain is Walker, because even though Walker's had a few episodes to himself, Walker definitely felt like a villain who was really he was treated as this big threat in his first episode, and then he just felt like nothing later on. And he's supposed to be the warden of the ghost zone, and it doesn't feel like that anymore. It just feels like we're just doing ghost cop at the end of the day, evil ghost cop at the end of the day. So I feel like they removed that level of threat to him in later episodes, and it didn't. It feels, yeah. It after you build him up as one of Danny's first big threats, more than Skulker or some of the other villains he's faced. It really did feel, at least to me, it felt like that. So yeah. Third question: what do you think things would have gone if the original idea of Vlad being a vampire stuck? I think that'd be really cool. I think that would be a really solid idea for Danny, to really explore other supernatural threats. If they just, instead of making Vlad a ghost, instead went full vampire, that would be a cool way to explain, to showcase there are other things out there other than ghosts, other terrifying threats that Danny might have to contend with one day. it also would kind of it would kind of also open his eyes to the fact that, like, every villain I face, I'm equipped for fighting ghosts. Now I have to fight a being that could, attack me on a physical level. And someone I can't sense. Like, I can't use my ghost sense on him. I can't, like, attack him directly without fear. You would have to be creative of fighting that villain. Yeah. So yeah, that would have been a cool idea, and there's a part of me that wish that stuck with that. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Tom Hibbert, who asks, "What do you think the biggest issue with Sam Manson is in terms of being a character?" My biggest problem with Sam was that she's basically written in a cartoonish way a liberal character is written. Like, she's like, it's almost like they were trying to make fun of left-leaning kids, because it's, Butch Hartman has made no secret about his political standings, and it was his way. I think it's a really mean-spirited way. And Sam's not a great character, but again, the writing just kind of showcased that, like, she's treated as almost like her, and also, like, isn't like, oh, she wants to be a vegan, she wants to recycle and stuff. Isn't that fun and stupid? If you like it, you're stupid. Aren't you? You're stupid for liking these ideas. Go vote right wing. That's what it felt like sometimes. It just felt like it's a conservative's thought, like, in a conservative's imagination of what a liberal is. That's what it felt like the most with when it came to Sam. Anyway, second question. What do you think of Vlad's defeat in Phantom Planet, where his ego is essentially his undoing? Again, Phantom Planet is such a fucking shit show that it really does, it really does kind of have this whole thing of, why would you do that? Like, characters are like, why would you do, like, you watch this and go, like, why would that character do this? And especially, like, Vlad showcasing that he's Vlad Plasmus, that made no sense. And it wasn't so much ego as it is bad writing. Third question. What are your thoughts on the original version of the theme song before it got changed to explain Danny's origin? I never heard of the original theme. I don't think I've ever heard of the original theme, so yeah, no idea, so I can't really say. Thank you for those questions. Moving on to David Dyster, who asks, who should do a Danny Phantom comic series? Can't be Marvel or DC. I would say Boom Studios or IDW. I feel like they get all the cartoon, well, I would say Dynamite, but Warner Brothers and Disney got that number, so I would say IDW, because IDW would make the most sense, because that one, they have a close partnership now with Paramount, so, and Danny Phantom is a Paramount IP, so I would say IDW. I'm not going to answer that second question, because that's some real-world stuff, and I don't like it. Third question, who is the best and worst character of Danny Phantom? I would say best character in Danny Phantom would be... the best character in Danny Phantom would probably be... Oh, that fell. Probably, like, Jazz on occasion. Like, Jazz feels like the most competent of characters out of everyone else. Worst character? There are too many. Like, there are so many bad characters. Paulina, Dash, Tucker, Sam on occasions. Also, I'll put, as for another great character, Valerie. Valerie did nothing wrong. And Danny himself can be in between. Yeah. Alright, so, those are all the questions for this Danny Phantom Q&A. But yeah, you guys tell me in the... I want to thank everyone who sent in questions for this Q&A. This was a lot of fun. And I did say that a while ago that I was doing two back-to-back Q&As, so the next one will be Ultraman. So if you do want to get in questions for the Ultraman Q&A, please hit the link in the description box below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the first tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.